The invitation arrived 3 weeks before my surgery. Heavy cardstock, elegant script. You're invited to celebrate Dr. Amanda Chen's residency match at Johns Hopkins Department of Surgery. My sister had matched into one of the most prestigious surgical programs in the country, and my parents were throwing her a party at our childhood home to celebrate. The same week I was scheduled for my third major surgery in 18 months. I stared at the date on the invitation, March 15th. My surgery was March 14th. I'd be in post-op recovery during Amanda's celebration, assuming everything went well. Assuming the tumor they'd found wrapped around my spinal cord could be removed without permanent paralysis. "You're coming, right?" Mom asked when she called. Amanda specifically asked if you'd be there. "Mom, my surgery is the day before." "Oh, that." Her voice dismissive, airy. "Can't you reschedule? This is Amanda's moment. She's worked so hard for this." That. My third spinal surgery in 18 months was that. I was 26 years old with neurofibromatosis type 2, a genetic disorder that caused tumors to grow on my nerves. The first tumor had been discovered when I started losing hearing in my left ear. Then they found more. On my spinal cord. On my cranial nerves. Small ones scattered throughout my nervous system like landmines waiting to detonate. The current tumor was pressing against my spinal cord at the T6 level, causing weakness in my legs and bowel dysfunction. If left untreated, I'd be paralyzed within months. But to my family, it was just another one of my medical dramas. "I can't reschedule," I said quietly. "The tumor is growing. Dr. Richardson says we can't wait any longer." "Well, try to make it to the party if you can. Amanda's colleagues will be there. It would mean a lot to her." After she hung up, I sat in my apartment staring at the invitation. Amanda was 28, my older sister by 2 years. She'd always been the golden child. Perfect grades, perfect boyfriend, perfect career trajectory. When I was diagnosed with NF2 at 23, it had complicated the family narrative. Amanda was supposed to be the successful doctor. I was supposed to be, what? The admiring younger sister? The supporting character in her story? Instead, I'd become the inconvenient sick one. My phone buzzed with a text from Amanda. "Mom says you might not come to my party because of another surgery? Really? Can't you just postpone it for one day?" I didn't respond. There was no point explaining that you don't postpone spinal cord decompression because it's inconvenient timing. Amanda had been in medical school for 4 years. She should understand this. But understanding would require her to see me as a real patient rather than her dramatic younger sister. Dr. Patricia Richardson was the head of neurosurgery at Johns Hopkins Hospital, one of the leading experts in complex spinal tumor resection in the country. She'd operated on me twice before with excellent outcomes. When the latest MRI showed a new tumor at T6, she'd personally called to schedule surgery. "This one's tricky," she'd said during our pre-op consultation. "It's wrapped around the nerve roots. We'll need to be very careful, but I'm confident we can get it out without permanent damage." Now, sitting in the pre-op area on March 14th, I was trying not to think about the word permanent. My parents had dropped me off at 6 a.m., Mom barely glancing at me as she said good luck before rushing back to party preparations. Amanda hadn't called or texted. "Claire Chin." A nurse appeared. "Dr. Richardson wants to speak with you before we take you back." Dr. Richardson entered in her scrubs, her expression serious but kind. "How are you feeling?" "Nervous." "That's normal. I wanted to go over the procedure one more time." She pulled up my imaging on a tablet. "The tumor is here wrapped around the nerve bundle. We'll make an incision at T5 through T7, expose the cord and carefully dissect the tumor from the nerve tissue. Recovery will be 3 to 5 days inpatient, then 6 weeks of restricted activity at home." "And if something goes wrong?" "We've discussed the risks, bleeding, infection, paralysis. But Claire, I've done this surgery hundreds of times. You're young and healthy otherwise. Your prognosis is excellent." She paused. "Is your family here?" "They're preparing for my sister's party tomorrow." Dr. Richardson's expression flickered, something like anger quickly controlled. "Your sister Amanda? The one matching into surgery. You know her." "She's matching into my department. I'm her program director." Dr. Richardson's voice was carefully neutral. She didn't mention her sister was having major spinal surgery this week. Of course she didn't. The anesthesiologist arrived and Dr. Richardson squeezed my shoulder. I'll see you in the OR. You're going to do great. The surgery took 6 hours. When I woke up in recovery, Dr. Richardson was there, still in her surgical cap. The tumor's out. All of it. Your nerve function looks good. Can you wiggle your toes for me? I could. Both feet moved. I started crying from relief. You'll be sore for a while, but you did beautifully. We'll keep you for observation for a few days. He checked my chart. Is someone coming to visit? Probably not. My sister's party is tonight. Dr. Richardson's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. The party was apparently spectacular. I knew this because Amanda FaceTimed me from it at 9 p.m. while I was in my hospital bed, barely able to move from the pain. Claire, look at this. She spun her phone around, showing a room full of people in cocktail attire. A banner reading, "Congratulations, Dr. Amanda Chin, Johns Hopkins Surgery." Champagne glasses everywhere. Isn't it amazing? All the new residents are here. Even some of the attendings came. That's great, I managed, my voice hoarse from the breathing tube. How was your thing today? She asked, barely looking at the camera. My thing? Amanda, I had major spinal surgery. Right. But you're fine, yeah? You always bounce back from these procedures. Procedures. As if they'd removed a mole rather than a tumor wrapped around my spinal cord. I'm in a lot of pain, actually. Well, take your meds. Oh wait. Emily's here, I've got to introduce her to people. She's matching into Hopkins too. Amanda moved through the crowd, her phone bouncing, my face on the screen just a thumbnail she'd forgotten about. I heard her voice, distant but clear. That's my sister Claire. She's always having some medical thing. Honestly, I think she likes the attention. Basic stuff, really, just some back procedure. Nothing serious. My chest tightened. Not from the surgery. From something much deeper. Then I heard another voice, one I recognized. Clear and cold. Basic stuff. Back procedure. Amanda's face reappeared on screen, suddenly pale. Behind her stood Dr. Richardson, still in her work clothes, having apparently stopped by the party. Dr. Richardson. I didn't know you were coming. Clearly. Dr. Richardson's voice cut like a scalpel. I was invited by your parents. I wanted to congratulate you personally on your match. She paused. Before I heard you describe your sister's spinal cord tumor resection as basic stuff and just some back procedure. The background noise of the party was fading as people noticed the tension. I didn't mean. You're still on FaceTime with her, Amanda. Your sister who I operated on for 6 hours today. Your sister who has neurofibromatosis type 2 and is facing a lifetime of complex surgeries. Your sister who was in my OR this morning having a tumor removed from her spinal cord. A tumor that could have paralyzed her if left untreated. The phone screen showed Amanda's face, frozen in horror. Claire, Dr. Richardson said, speaking directly to me through the phone. I'm so sorry. I'm coming to check on you now. Amanda, I'd like to speak with you privately. The FaceTime ended abruptly. 30 minutes later, Dr. Richardson appeared in my hospital room. How's your pain level? About a 7. She adjusted my medication, then sat in the chair beside my bed. I need to tell you something, and I need you to understand this is not your fault. What happened tonight was completely unacceptable. What happened? After we disconnected, I asked Amanda to step outside with me. I wanted to understand why she was dismissing your condition to her colleagues. Do you know what she said? I shook my head. She said you've always been dramatic about health stuff. That you exaggerate symptoms for attention. That she didn't think your surgeries were that serious because you look fine between procedures. Dr. Richardson's expression was controlled fury. Claire, I have your complete medical file. 3 spinal surgeries. Bilateral vestibular schwannomas causing hearing loss. Multiple meningiomas being monitored. You're managing a complex, chronic condition that will require lifelong treatment. And your sister, a medical school graduate who just matched into surgery, called it basic treatment. She's always been like this, I said quietly. That doesn't make it acceptable. Especially not for someone about to start a surgical residency. Dr. Richardson stood. I spoke with several of Amanda's colleagues who were at the party. Apparently she's been telling them for months that you're a hypochondriac. That your family has to deal with your constant medical drama. One resident told me Amanda joked that you probably Googled symptoms to get diagnosed. My face burned with humiliation. I'm telling you this because you need to know what she's been saying behind your back. And because tomorrow, I'm meeting with the residency program leadership to discuss Amanda's fitness for our program. What does that mean? It means we're reviewing whether someone who demonstrates such profound lack of empathy and clinical judgment should be training as a surgeon at Johns Hopkins. The next morning, Amanda called me 17 times. I answered on the 18th. Claire, please, you have to help me. Dr. Richardson is saying I might lose my residency spot. This is insane. I'm being punished for private comments at a party. You called my spinal cord tumor basic stuff while I was in recovery. I didn't mean it like that. I was just, I don't know, trying to downplay it so people wouldn't feel awkward. Or maybe you actually believe it. You've always thought I was exaggerating. That's not fair. Okay, maybe sometimes I thought you were dramatic. But that doesn't mean I should lose my residency. This is my career. And this is my life, Amanda. My real body. My real tumors. My real surgeries. But you're fine. You always end up fine. I'm fine because I fight to be taken seriously. Because I have doctors who listen, not because of you. He started crying. Mom and Dad are furious. They said I need to apologize to you, to Dr. Richardson, to everyone. They said I embarrassed the family. Did you tell them what you said about me? Silence. Did you tell them you called me a hypochondriac to your coworkers? That you told people my spinal surgery was basic stuff? Claire, please. Call Dr. Richardson. Tell her it was a misunderstanding. It wasn't. You meant it. You've spent years making my illness smaller so you could feel bigger. You didn't want my pain to exist because it took attention from you. I'm done pretending that's okay. So you'll let them destroy my career? I'm not doing anything. You did this. You showed everyone you lack empathy and judgment. What kind of doctor mocks her own sister's spinal surgery? I didn't think. Exactly. You never thought of me as a real patient. Just an inconvenience. Amanda hung up. Then called again. I didn't answer. 3 days later, I left the hospital. Dr. Richardson came to see me. How are you feeling? Better. The pain's manageable. Good. She sat down. We had a meeting about Amanda. We decided to withdraw her match. I froze. You're ending her residency? Yes. We can't train a surgeon who treats patients without empathy. She mocked your condition to others. That behavior isn't acceptable here. But that's her dream. And this is the consequence of her choices. Dr. Richardson looked at me kindly. Claire, this isn't about family drama. It's about patient safety. Her words could have influenced others to dismiss real illness. That costs lives. I nodded slowly. What happens now? She can reapply next year. But she'll have to explain what happened and prove she's changed. My family will blame me. They shouldn't. You didn't ruin her future. She did. After she left, I sat in silence. Amanda's dream was gone. My family would hate me for it. But I couldn't carry her cruelty anymore. I was done being quiet so she could shine. My phone buzzed. Mom's text. How could you do this to your sister? You've destroyed her future. I turned off my phone. 6 weeks later, I was back in Dr. Richardson's office. My incision healed. The MRI was clear. You're doing great, she said. Thank you. For believing me. For standing up for me. Dr. Richardson smiled softly. Claire, I've seen too many patients dismissed by their families. It breaks them. When I heard Amanda call your tumor basic treatment, I knew she wasn't ready to be a doctor. She's reapplying to programs. Smaller ones. I hope she's learned something. My family still isn't speaking to me. They blame me for her losing Hopkins. That's not your burden to carry. You didn't lose her residency, she did. I nodded, tears suddenly hot in my eyes. It's just hard. Losing my family over this. I know. But sometimes the healthiest thing we can do is let go of people who refuse to see our truth. Dr. Richardson handed me a tissue. You have a complex medical condition that will require ongoing care. You need people around you who support that, not people who mock it. He was right. Over the past 6 weeks, I'd started building a new support system. Other NF2 patients I'd met through online groups, friends who actually checked in after my surgery, a therapist who specialized in chronic illness. People who understood that my tumors weren't drama. My surgeries weren't attention-seeking, my pain wasn't performance. How's Amanda doing? Dr. Richardson asked carefully. I don't know. She hasn't spoken to me since Hopkins withdrew her match. Mom says she's in therapy. That's good. She has a lot to work through. Do you think she'll ever understand what she did wrong? I hope so. For her sake and for the sake of her future patients. But Claire, whether she understands or not, whether she apologizes or not, whether your family forgives you or not, none of that changes the reality of your condition. None of that makes your surgeries less serious or your pain less real. I left that appointment feeling lighter than I had in weeks. Amanda's career had imploded. My family had cut me off. But for the first time in my life I had a doctor who fought for me. Who saw my sister's cruelty and said, "Not in my program." The program director didn't laugh at my diagnosis. She ended Amanda's career because of it. And somehow that validation, that public acknowledgement that I was right, that my suffering was real, that Amanda's dismissal was unacceptable, mattered more than any family relationship ever could. My sister had laughed at my diagnosis. Her program director made sure she'd never laugh at another patient again.